I'm heading to Orlando for what has got to be the final game of the campaign. There's no way it can't be. Although I was pretty sure last time. So a lot has happened. When we last spoke, I left the campaign with Vivian dead, defeated by Wolfric in bloody combat with his bare hands. It was brutal. Uh, longest game I've ever played, and I just could not believe how much time we spent rolling on dice for two models to fight each other. It just is insane. Um, so afterwards, after this game, we talked in Discord a little bit, and I had this thought, and I shared in the Discord, and I thought it would be really cool if the spell of awakening, the necromancer spell that uh, automatically turns any opposing hero that dies in battle. So they go out of action and then they roll up 11 through 15 on the lasting injury chart. And then they return as a zombie fighting on behalf of the undead warband. It's the most thematic spell in the whole game. It's the coolest thing. And I thought, why is that limited to heroes of the opponents? Why would the necromancer not also resurrect any deceased heroes of their own warband? I mean, of course they would. He tries to get as many zombies as he can, narratively speaking. So it makes no sense that he wouldn't similarly resurrect the dead heroes of the undead warband. And I thought, well, Vivian died. Wouldn't it be incredibly thematic and cool if she came back as a zombie? So obviously, my whole warband's crippled already, and there's no possibility of coming back and winning it. I even with Vivian, if she weren't a zombie, if she had all those injuries from the one-on-one combat with Wolfric, she'd be useless. There's no way she'd be able to do anything against Wolfric. But I thought it would make perfect sense from the story of this Vivian's particular wedding party, in that these are living members of the warband were basically enslaved by her after her rampage on her wedding night. The two altar boys, the dregs in the priest gowns, robes, and then of course the stable hand slash handyman Trillian the dreg, and then you've got Father Ehrlich, the priest that was supposed to marry her to her betrothed, who she, he was a priest of Sigmar, and she forced him to abandon Sigmar and learn the necromantic ways. Tortured him nearly to death and silenced him by ripping out his tongue. So that's why he's got a thing across his mouth, a little bandage. And I thought it'd be really pretty sick because obviously if Vivian were to die, that would free Father Ehrlich, the dregs, from her control. And Father Ehrlich, I'm sure, would love nothing more at this point than to bring back her corpse from undeath to fight as his slave. That would be, for him, I think, perfect. And I thought, this is just so cool. And I said this, I outlined this kind of a little bit to the group and on Discord, and I said, obviously I'm not doing this because if I end up fighting somebody else in the campaign, I don't want to do anything to mess with that isn't exactly copacetic under the rules. Also, I don't have time to do another Vivian, a zombie version of Vivian, because obviously if I were to do something like this, I would have to model it, and there's no way I'm gonna mess with the model I've currently got for Vivian. It was one of my earlier paint jobs, but I really was pleased with how it came out. I really liked her skin tone and hair and glowing eye combination. Her dress was a little simple, but I gave her this black leather boot, and I used a high gloss varnish on top of it, so it looks shiny. She looks really well put together, clean, except for the blood on her face and cowl, a little onto her chest. If you haven't seen her, she's on my Instagram. I modeled her. I used the Lady Annika model from Age of Sigmar. Beautiful model. But it's such a simple model, and it's still $40, which is ridiculous. And so I was like, I'm obviously not doing this. I don't have the time. I'm not gonna spend $40 on this model again, and try to get this all done before the next campaign day. There's no way. I had a lot going on, including traveling in between that time. And then Ruben, the Chaos Marauders player that defeated me and Vivian, uh, he put this on the Discord, and I want to read it because it's really incredible. To me, it's what this game is all about. It's the narrative, it's the storyline. After a long and brutal battle, Wulfric stood panting with a bloodied heart in his hand. Vivian had given one last ear-piercing shriek that resonated through the battlefield, only moments later crumbles to dust. How he managed to punch through the kink in her armor and pull her heart out could only be an omen from the Chaos Gods. Sword or no sword, Onugal, whatever it is, surely gazed upon him. He grinned and gave a maniacal laugh. His men were faltering, but he knew he needed to press the attack. He says, cutscene to all war bands recording. As the witch scavenged through the scene, from the corner of her eye, she saw a still beating heart. This would be of use for a concoction, she thought out loud. But as she came closer, she realized whose it was. My, Father Ehrlich would pay a small fortune for this. Perhaps it's of more use to him than it is as an ingredient. How's that for narrative, Drew Bag? And I said, that's ridiculous. That's incredible. That is a perfect story. I'm now doing it. I don't even want to do this, but I'm gonna do it. I have to. After a narrative like that, that's what this game is all about. But yes, I was in love reading it again. I'm in love again and again and again. It's just amazing. It's such a great story. How awesome. And before I even had a chance to respond to it, I think Glenn earlier responded, the Glenn being the sort of game master of this campaign, that he would allow her to come back as a zombie because ultimately I'd be giving up all of her skills, which is like half of what makes her dangerous. She's got all these injuries. Like her strongest benefit is she does have an additional attack, but she's got 9 initiative and 10 leadership, which she said she wouldn't be allowed to use anyway, the leadership as a zombie. She wouldn't be able to run anymore, which part of why she's so dangerous. She would lose her Tome of Magic and lesser magic spell, Flight of Zimmerin. I don't know, something like that. Zimmerin, I think. So she'd be, she wouldn't be all that threatening anymore. Also, I lost in that game. My entire warband went out of action except the witch, and I lost pretty much every henchman. I lost all the guys I hired except for the witch and the merchant, and I couldn't afford the upkeep. I sold everything in my stash just to be able to afford the upkeep on the witch. And again, really purely for narrative, because after that story, obviously she survived. She has to stay with the warband. I have to pay her upkeep no matter what. I'd sacrifice, a zombie for it. So I sold everything so I could maintain her upkeep, as well as get, I think it was 3 more zombies so that I could have a full 15-member warband, 16 with the witch. And plus, I thought it would just be so perfect, and again, so right in line with this narrative. If Father Ehrlich just went nuts after that battle, with all these bodies strewn across this battle, for this cave, for this dragon's lair that we were fighting, and he just goes ham. He gets the heart of Vivian. He swells with necromantic energy and pulls her back to her physical form, and then starts raising up 3 more bodies next to her, just to try to make this one last grasp for power, and destroy those sisters of Sigmar that nearly ruined them. I just think it's so cool. I'm very excited about it. I do not believe for a second that it is competitive anymore. for me anyway, this is just purely going to be beautiful. Essentially, my warband is, I've got 16 total bodies, and out of the 16, I believe 9 of them are zombies, of one form or another. Obviously, I've got Vivian, and I've got I still have the rat adept, rat engineer adept, the leader of the Skaven warband that I killed in a game ages ago. He's been with me for a lot, and he's gone out of action plenty, and just doesn't want to go down. And I've still got I forget what he called them. One of the Marauders, Chaos Marauders, with a barbed whip. I forget the name, but I think it's like He-Man or something silly that I love. And then I think 5 zombies. I think I'm forgetting something. Maybe it's 6 zombies. I don't know. In addition to that, but very excited to field this thematic, slow shambling, necromancer-led warband. Obviously, I won't be able to get a vampire again. Obviously, I don't really expect to win my next game anyway. It's probably going to be the end for me, but you never know. It's still fun. I'm still driving to Orlando, driving 2 hours sitting in this crappy traffic. Just for potentially one long game, potentially one short game, and then hopefully I can get somebody else to play. If my warband is totally demolished, hopefully I can get somebody to play me with like a restarted warband or something. I don't know. Just so I can get a few games in on these tables. I'm making the drive because I love the game, and this campaign's amazing. So I would like to play at least 2 games today. But anyway, that is the cool ass thematic narrative stuff that's going on. It is, you can hear it in my voice, right? Like this is what I love about this game. We're definitely ignoring the rules in allowing me to field a zombie vampire. And I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it from a thematic standpoint, and from a lore standpoint. And I know you can't, necromancers, you wouldn't think they would pull somebody back from already being undead. So like when a zombie dies, you feel like that's the end of a zombie, because the magic is broken and it's just a husk. But at the same token, there's a specific spell in Mordheim for necromancers to bring back a fallen zombie. I forget the name of the spell, but essentially, if a zombie has gone out of action in the prior, I think it's prior round or prior turn of hand-to-hand combat, then the necromancer can bring it back if he passes the difficulty of the spell, and bring that zombie like anywhere within 6 inches of him or something like that. So there's a specific spell to bring back an undead thing. And then I thought also, vampires, as far as the general generic vampire lore that I'm familiar with is concerned, vampires can heal from any wound other than a stake to the heart, the sort of classical vampire trope. Um, in some, perhaps, I mean, obviously, sunlight, is a big one. Presumably, all these Morgan bands are fought at night, which makes sense. Um, and then I think there may be some school of thought to removing the head might be sufficient. I'm not sure on that, but I could see that being one. But just general combat won't kill a vampire, so to speak, as far as it's already dead, so you can't kill it, obviously. But it won't. I guess I should say it won't destroy permanently or totally destroy the vampire. Depending on its strength, it may just take more or less time to heal. The most powerful vampires, uh, in the general vampire lore I've seen, in my lifetime, like Dracula, you cut Dracula, it just stitches right back up. Like the Van Helsing sort of combat thing. It just heals immediately. He's unaffected, unfazed. But these vampires in Mordor are lesser vampires. They're not vampire hordes in lore. So perhaps significant enough defeat in battle just renders them out for a game. And in the rules, it's for one game. After one game, an undead warband can hire a new vampire, which could be viewed as it's not a new vampire, it's the same vampire, but because they've sort of regenerated and reassembled themselves after whatever they went through, their skills and their attributes and even their injuries are all kind of reduced to their original form. I mean, it makes sense from that kind of a standpoint too, and it's really kind of interesting to think about. So this storyline of Wulfric ripping out her heart and her body turning to dust, I like that because the heart still, even though it's not one of the traditional ways you've heard of destroying a vampire, one of the traditional ways is a stake through the heart. So the heart itself, in that sense, might be the actual essence of the vampire. So by ripping out her heart, and it was still beating when the witch found it to this point, by ripping out the heart, it's really he really just pulled out the vampire's essence and then discarded it. Number one, because there was a battle going on and his squad was getting pushed. So he had to kind of pony up. And number two, he just kind of probably disregarded it. It ripped her heart out, just turned to dust. Nah, that's probably the end of that. Toss the heart, get to the work at hand. And then obviously from that, Father Ehrlich being able to start the process of bringing her back, and her in her zombie state is really just sort of a bridged state between when she's, uh, you know, for lack of a better phrase, dead, and when she's back to her sort of default original status. I really like that, and I really don't think that's kind of an imbalanced thing at all either. Just a zombie version of a vampire, even a standard, not one with injuries. Still, it's still going to be threatening. It's still going to have a 12-inch charge. It's still going to have, multiple attacks plus whatever gear it had. You can't add to. It's another sort of restriction. You wouldn't be able to add to this zombie in any kind of way. You can't give her new equipment or anything. She just has what she had. It would just be, it'd be cool. It'd still be a threat. But it'd be a much lower threat with that just being able to move. You know, it's 6-inch move. It's still that's the most she's moving until she's in charge range. So potentially, you know, easier, certainly easier to deal with than a running one, and certainly easier than a sprinting one. Yeesh. That 18 inches is madness. That's even another thing. The direwolf died as well, so I have nothing fast in my warband now. I've got zombie Vivian moving 6 inches, zombie Skaven moving 5 inches, and everybody else, slow. I think I only have two ghouls, or maybe three. Yes, I think I have the two heroes, Boner and Lefty, and then I have Helmet, which is the only remaining ghoul henchman. Um, Also, Boner has a toughness injury, so he's almost like a human now with toughness 3. Does still have that 2 attacks though, which is nice. Um, and then I don't recall their advancements. I think they're mostly skill advancements. But I don't know offhand. We'll find out shortly. So yeah, that's those three and my necromancer are the only ones moving 8. So interesting. I still have dregs too. I got my dregs too. What am I talking? Don't ignore me. Ignore me. So out of my 16 units, I think 7 of them will be able to move 8. One of them though is the witch, who isn't going to be moving anywhere. She's running. She's running from a warden on horseback. That would be one reason. So yeah, I'm excited. This is gonna be really thematic. I I believe Glenn wants me to just fight straight away against Carlos, the Sisters of Sigmar warband, which would be again perfectly thematic, exactly a continuation of the battle where Vivian died. Oh God, it'll be such a cool way to kind of end this thing, if it goes that way, which it very well could. Um, and if I face Carlos, if I rout for any reason, he wins outright. That's game. Um, so I think that would be a very thematic end to the campaign. I do know though, uh, you know, I'm I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be easy to defeat. I mean, I've got a lot of zombies, and zombies are obviously trash. But and also I got to remember too, uh, the necromancer is my leader now. His leadership I think is only 7. He's got the unholy relic. He took that from Vivian. Um, she can't use it now anyway. Um, but that's not great. I'm very routable now, especially with so many easy to kill zombies on my squad. And he's got a lot of slings, so he very easily could just pick me off immediately, and I start taking round tests and lose before I even get to him, just because I'm so slow. Or I'm gonna make awesome use of the terrain. I'm gonna hide constantly. He's gonna have to get up close, and the zombies are gonna be just enough to distract him, while the ghouls and maybe zombie Vivian come in for some snacks. You never know. It could go that way. I've still got Trillian too, the drake that had the sword of the damned. He lost that obviously in the last battle, going out of action. So I just replaced it. He has strong. I just replaced it with a 2-handed sword. Um, he's got he's got some threat to him. He's got some armor. He's got some strength. I think he's hitting at strength 5 because he's got that uh, 2-handed weapon. Um, Maybe strength 6. I think he may have gotten a strength increase. I'm not sure. Um, he's only got the 1 attack, so it's gotta be a bit of a lucky hit, but it could be bad for somebody else. I think also it sounds like Ruben is gonna fight against one of the other Scourge players, the orc player. I think it's Kevin. Um, that could end it too. If Kevin's able to get his war boss into combat with Ulfric and take him out, that could be GG. That could be the end of the campaign right there. I'm not sure who has the last piece or pieces of the puzzle for Ruben. It very well may be the orc player. May be Kevin. And if that's the case, then that game is going to resolve it either one way or the other. Because obviously, if Wulfric wins and takes out, well, I guess he has to take the relic. It's possible for Kevin to lose, but not lose the relic. If that unit doesn't get in jeopardy or something. It's very likely that the outcome of that game would be determinative. Which would be interesting because I wonder what would happen if we got two winners at that point. Maybe they face off. In fact, it'd be sweet if Carlos wins and Ruben wins, because if Ruben wins and gets the relic, and that's the last piece, his leader Wulfric turns into a demon prince. But that's the end of the campaign, so you never get to actually fight with the demon prince. So if they both win, they have to do a final victory match. And we gotta have that demon prince model out there. And Ruben's been bringing it. He's dying to get this demon prince out there. So he gets the last piece, turns into a demon prince. Then they fight the Sisters of Sigmar in a final clash. That is what has to happen. Make it so. Make it so. Let's see what happens. I will, I guess I'll come back on here afterwards. Wish us the luck.